Yo, welcome back to Son of a Preacher Man. As always, I am your host, Soap Man. And we're not gonna have any long monologues today. We just gonna jump right into it, baby. You know what I'm saying? And today's episode is a continuation of the last episode. And so I've entitled this episode, What I Wish I Had Said, but I didn't have time. Part 2. So, in my 12th video, we talked all about Moses, and I tried my best to stick to the biblical script, the narrative that we all know. You know it, you've heard it before, I'm sure. Baby Moses is born into perilous times where his people have been enslaved, and he's just passed a new law saying that all male children born to the Israelites have to be thrown into the river Nile. Nah, that's a hard pill to swallow. So Moses' parents, they decide to leave it in the Lord's hands. They send him up the river in a reed basket where he's found by none other than Pharaoh's daughter, the princess herself. She's so overtaken with Moses, she adopts him. He gets raised in a royal Egyptian household, brought up, educated in all things Egyptian. And then he turns on the Egyptians for some reason. Something happens. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. But before we get into that, in my 12th video, we included the narrative of Flavius Josephus, a Jewish historian living in Rome. So Flavius, he gives us an interesting perspective on the life of Moses. He kind of fills in gaps that the Bible does not, how can I say this? Josephus fills in gaps that the Bible leaves. Now, whether you want to believe Josephus or not, that's up to you. I find Josephus to be pretty credible. He lived roughly around the time of Christ, or shortly after the death of Christ. And so he's a lot closer to the time period that we looking at than any of us. And so I thought it was worth including his narrative. And I believe him, just to put it plainly. And so Moses ends up turning on the people who took him in. Now that seems kind of bogus and shady on the surface, but it's like most biblical narratives, there's always more than meets the eye. Now what I didn't get to talk about, I did. I briefly touched on it, but I didn't get to delve as deep as I wanted to in it, because I really feel strongly about this subject today. So what I didn't get to talk about, or what I didn't get to talk about enough in the 12th episode, was why did Moses turn on the Egyptians? Now, the Bible says that when he was 40 years old, he went out to his brethren, meaning his fellow Hebrews, and he noticed one of them was getting beaten pretty badly by an Egyptian guard, overseer, I don't know what you want to call him. And Moses kills this Egyptian. Now, Moses is a fugitive. He flees Egypt, a wanted man. But how did it get to this point? Well, let's look at what the Bible has to say. Exodus 2:11-12 says, "And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked upon their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well." Now, here's the thing. Was this a setup? I think it was. I think Moses was set up. And here's why. Again, going back to the words of Flavius Josephus. And this is what he says. He says, now this is before Moses was born, mind you. One of those sacred scribes who are sagacious, meaning wise, in foretelling future events truly, told the king that about this time there would be a child born to the Israelites who, if he were reared, would bring the Egyptian dominion low and raise the Israelites, that he would excel all men in virtue and obtain a glory that would be remembered through all ages. Which thing was so feared by the king that according to this man's opinion, he commanded that they should cast every male child which was born to the Israelites into the river and destroy it. So already you see Moses is not even born yet, and things are about as bad as they can be if you are a Hebrew living in Egypt. He goes on to say, then now this is after Moses has been born. But when the sacred scribes saw that he was the person who foretold that his nativity would the dominion of that kingdom low, he made a violent attempt to kill him, and crying out in a frightful manner, he said, "This, O king, this child is he of whom God foretold that if we kill him, we shall be in no danger." Now, to explain all that, the last two slides I just read are regarding before Moses was born and when he was a child. See, before Moses was born, there was a prophecy that a Israelite child would bring this doom and gloom scenario upon Egypt while simultaneously lifting up the Israelite people. And after Moses was born, they considered him to be that prophecy being fulfilled, or they were at least suspicious of it. So they kept a close eye on Moses. They kept a close watch on him. Now, what I'm trying to get you to see is put yourself in those shoes. I'm just trying to set the foundation here for why I think it was a setup. Now, when Moses got older, Pharaoh's scribes and advisors came up with a plan. It was a win-win situation. You see, the Nubians, a black African tribe south of Egypt, was encroaching upon Egyptian land. They were gobbling up Egyptian land from the south, making their way north. So the scribes and advisors of Pharaoh's came up with an ingenious plan. They said, hey, send the child prodigy Moses down there to fight him. He'll probably get killed, and if he does, good, we'll be rid of him. And if he doesn't, then he'll destroy our enemies for us. It's a win-win situation. So Moses, after careful thought, because Moses knew they were trying to set him up. You are not going to be someone like Moses, gifted as he was, and not know that people were plotting to kill you. Flavius Josephus says that even when Moses was a child, his teachers noticed that he excelled far beyond any of his peers. They knew that when he got grown, he would be a force to be reckoned with. So they weren't trying to let him get too big to handle. They said, hey, let's send him down there to get killed. If he doesn't get killed, he'll kill our enemies and we'll just kill him later. So what I'm trying to say is, you have this child prodigy. He's ahead of his time. He's far beyond any of his peers. You don't think he's going to pick up on something like royal advisors not liking him? You don't think he's going to know with that smart, advanced brain of his? You don't think he's going to know that people are plotting to kill him? I think he knew. Anyways, Moses went down and handily defeated the Nubians. And on top of that, married the princess. He not only defeated the Nubians and married the Nubian princess, the Nubian princess helped him take the fortified city he was attacking. She helped him. She secretly had her men open the gates to let him in. He had laid siege to this citadel of the Nubians. And the princess fell in love with this man from afar. Man, tell me this boy ain't bad. I mean, come on, man. I'm not gonna call him. This boy is bad, okay? The Nubian princess falls in love with this dude, watching him from the ramparts, from the wall of the citadel that he's attacking. She falls in love with him, has her goons let him in so he can take the city. So Moses returns back to Egypt victorious, a huge success, defied all odds, and on top of that, he's married the princess. I mean, the boy he's got ties. He's got ties to Nubia now. They are an ally, not of Egypt, but of Moses. And so Pharaoh's scribes and advisors, they look at Moses now as even a bigger threat. He's twice as much of a threat as he was before. He was a threat before he left to go fight the Nubians, but now coming back victorious over the Nubians, he's twice the threat. So I believe the advisors of Pharaoh, the scribes of Pharaoh, and even Pharaoh himself just picked up where they left off. I mean, it's awfully convenient that Moses goes out one day and just notices this Egyptian dude just beating the dog slop out of this Hebrew. And who is this Hebrew anyway? The Bible once again doesn't give us all the details, but I can't help but wonder, did Moses know this dude? Did Moses know this Hebrew that was getting beaten? Was it personal? Was it a friend? Was it a relative? Was it a cousin? A brother? I mean, I'm awfully suspicious of this whole scenario. I mean, I don't know. Call me paranoid. I done been set up a few times in my day, and you know, this stuff that I'm saying, in my opinion, is not that far-fetched. Who was the Egyptian? I mean, growing up in the royal household, I'm pretty sure you know pretty much everybody. Is it possible that he knew the assailant? Is it possible that he knew the assailant and the victim? I don't know. It kind of makes you wonder. What I do know is that this smells of trap. I mean, it smells fishy. Let me know what you think. I don't know. Maybe I'm overreaching. Maybe I'm overthinking, but it's all too convenient. It's just all too convenient. You go out, you just happen to notice this event taking place, and so conveniently you go from being a hero of the people to a fugitive, a murderer on the run. So Moses then killed this Egyptian. He then buried him in the sand. Who told Pharaoh? The Bible says that Moses went out to and saw two Israelites fighting, and he broke up the fight, and one of the Israelites said, man, who the hell you think you are? What, you think you the boss of us now? Or you think you gonna do me like you did that Egyptian the other day? And so Moses knew that that information was out. But who told Pharaoh? Or was it that everything was going according to Pharaoh's plan. So Moses then killed this dude, and now he's a fugitive. He did what any smart man would do. He ran. You gotta know when to fold 'em, know when to hold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. You're sitting at the table. Look, man, he ran. A lot of you tough, bravado, macho dudes could take a good lesson from Moses. Because let me explain something to you. I want to talk about this for a second. He tucked tail and ran. He went down and mopped the floor with them Nubians. This is a bad dude. He's probably the most sophisticated, greatest military strategist who ever took a battlefield. He's probably, if not the greatest prophet other than Jesus, he's definitely one of the greatest prophets. Most likely, he's the greatest prophet other than Jesus Christ himself. This man single-handedly, practically single-handedly brought down the entire Egyptian civilization. And he ran. Why did he run? Because it was the smart thing to do. He hiked up that Egyptian dress, and as my pops would say, he boogied. He kicked up a kaboob across that desert, okay? Them feet was moving so fast. He ran. Ain't no shame in running, fellas. Ain't no shame in living to fight another day. And it makes me wonder, did he know he was being set up? Did he know? Probably. Short lesson for y'all today.